For me, it wasn't really a transition because I can learn the product. The product is easy.
Yep.
But people are buying you.
Correct.
At the end of the day, if they like you, they're going to buy from you. You know, if it's affordable,
Yep.
you know, so the transition wasn't really too hard because I look at each client, no matter what industry I'm in, whether it's timeshare, whether it's real estate, whether it's life insurance, I look at each client as if I am helping my mom. I think of my mom on the other end, or my aunt.
Yeah.
And it transcends to them because I'm not just looking at, okay, how much I'm going to make off of this. I don't even think about that, honestly. Right. I really don't. And I think that's why I do so well because I look at each client as if they're my family.
All right, welcome to True Talk. Got a special guest with us today, Natalie Green. How we doing, Natalie?
I'm doing wonderful.
Awesome. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you all for inviting me.
Absolutely. Well, I heard, now I'm not going to lie and say I was down there because I was running around like crazy at convention, but after you spoke, everyone in there, oh, we got to have Natalie up. Natalie's awesome. I said, that's great, but let's check her numbers. Because there's a lot of good stories, Natalie, but we have 52 weeks a year, right? So I got 52 slots to slide people in on this podcast. And when we started this company, one of Sean's main focuses or one of his goals was not to let people train that weren't good at what they were doing, right? So it's not, I mean, there's plenty of great stories out there, but at the end of the day, we're here to sell life insurance. We're here to talk to people, and we want the successful people to be here. So, but your numbers definitely backed up at least their desire to have you up here. So, because so far this year, you're kicking ass.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. You're on track to hit Hall of Fame. I don't know if you knew that. You're going to. Good. Well, that's why I was asking you right here. I like to have the goals be public and ask people here because now you set it on tape. And
I've
you can't
said
go back,
it, and
right?
I cannot go back.
So you can't go back. You will hit Hall of Fame
I
this
will
year.
hit Hall of Fame.
I don't doubt it. So just looking through, I have numbers through March, week 3, and you're at 120,000 issue paid just in, not even 3 full months. So that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think people that are watching, this is going to sound a lot more impressive when they hear about all the stuff you've gone through recently. And I love your perspective on it.
Thank you.
Because I'm big on, you don't, like having a cold or sniffles, you're not sick. There's people that are really sick. There's people that are really diagnosed with cancer, leukemia, all kinds of, there's children that are. So for me to go, I just don't feel good. I'm not coming to work today. I feel like that's a disservice. It's bullshit. For all the people that are actually going through stuff. I'm crazy about it. Like, just get up and go. Who cares?
Just go.
Who cares? Like, you're going to be sick here or sick at home, right?
You still got bills to pay.
Absolutely.
So.
You have how many kids?
I only have one daughter.
Only one. Okay.
Yeah.
But you got to take care of your family.
I do.
So, but let's go back. You live in Tampa now. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Alabama.
Okay.
Sweet home Alabama.
Nice. Grew up in Alabama. What was it like growing up in Alabama?
Alabama's amazing. Good old Southern, hospitality. Sorry about that. But, I grew up with my mom who raised 4 children on a teacher's salary. So financially, it was a struggle.
Single mom.
We were evicted multiple times, cars repossessed, it was a lot. So
what was that like? Like, how old were you when that stuff was going on?
When my dad left, I was 5. My sister was 2.
Yeah.
My brother was 11, and my older brother was 17. So,
so you're like right in the middle.
Yeah, I was 5 when it happened.
And as a kid, what are you thinking when all this is going on?
When it all was going on, of course, at 5 years old, you're not really understanding the grasp of things at that time.
Right.
But, I'm glad that I went through a lot of those things because it has given me a different grasp on life. I'm truly humbled and very appreciative. I know my mom worked hard, to give us the things that she was able to give us.
Right.
But I look at things totally different in life, So when I do get something in life, I'm very grateful. My daughter picks at me all the time. She was like, Mom, you still be, cutting the toothpaste open, like, even though I'm making that kind of money, I still, don't take things for granted.
Right.
Life can change in an instant. So,
Absolutely.
Very humbled and appreciative of.
Yeah. And I bet, at the time you probably didn't realize this, but growing up with a single mom raising 4 kids, I bet you learned a lot from watching your mom.
I learned everything.
Yeah.
Even insurance. I used to go on appointments with my mom as a kid.
Wait, she sold insurance too?
Yeah.
Really?
My mom sold insurance for years.
Okay.
She's even like, you know, she's watching me doing all my, you know, training on annuity. She's like, I think I'm going to get my license again. My mom is 75 and she's already ready, you know.
She's getting back in the game.
She's ready to get back. And I'm so serious. She'll be at convention next year. She'll probably be
she's watching. What's your mom's name?
Aurelia.
Aurelia, you can come join us. You could do what Natalie's doing.
I learned from her.
You learned from her. That's awesome. So how old were you when you were on appointments with your mom?
I mean, I was going on appointments with my mom when I was 9 and 10 years old.
Wow.
You know, so
you were raised into this business.
I was raised
almost
into this business.
It's funny. I was talking to Adrian. You met Adrian today.
Yes, I did.
He was like, he told me to ask you about this. You're talking about being humble and how you look at things now. He said you told him that your bonuses go in an account and you don't even look at them.
I don't. It goes into a separate account.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's like I want to live below my means, you know. Things can happen, you know.
Right.
Another COVID could happen. Anything can happen.
You never know.
You never know. So, you know, I didn't have that money before I started FFL.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that goes into a totally separate account. And that's what I am training now that I'm starting to recruit. You know, do not live paycheck to paycheck. No. You cannot. In this industry, you cannot do that. You need to put it aside. So it does go into a totally different account. So there are people in my office that be like, oh, did you get your bonus check? And I'm like, you know, I don't even know. I haven't even checked that account, but I will.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Yeah, well, definitely check it. So if we screwed up, we know.
You know, they keep me on track, so I do check it. But yeah, I put that in a totally different account.
But it's a great mentality to have, and it's like I wish more people did. You don't know how many times I get calls like, "Hey, Mike, when's the bonus coming?" Like some guy told my mom's rent's due. I'm like, what do you mean? Like you have a license to sell life insurance. The bonus is in addition to.
It's in addition to.
Right? You get paid when you sell a policy.
Yeah.
Well, my mom's rent's due. Then go sell a policy.
Sell a policy. Yeah.
How long does it take to get paid on a policy nowadays?
The next day.
The next day. So it's due tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, go meet with somebody today, bud.
And get it done.
And matter of fact, you can just call them from your house nowadays, right?
You can.
Are you virtual or are you in home? What do you do?
Virtual,
yeah.
No, but I still do in home.
You do?
I tell my, you know, anybody that asks me, your warm market, you still can tap into that because that's all I used to do.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of people now are a little spoiled with the virtual, and they don't realize like you don't need to just rely on that.
Correct.
You know, so social media, dealing with your warm market is huge. So yes, I still have people call me and I do things, and I'll go to their house or do a virtual meet with my warm market and tap into that still. So
absolutely, because you got a license originally back in 2009. Right, for another company that's all warm market. All warm market. Yeah.
That's all I used to do. Go, you know, drive to client's house, get there, they're not there, you know. So, yes, it was a different.
You were raised doing that.
I was raised doing that, you know. And we go there and they'll have some of the clients that have food ready for us, you know. So, you know, so I was raised in the warm market.
Now, I saw here in one of your notes, wasn't able to obtain a college degree. Why did you mention it? Did you go to college at all? Did you drop out?
No, I didn't go to college because I was a teenage mom. I had a child very, very young, and you know, we didn't have the funds to go to college, and so I got my real estate license at 19. And I started doing commercial and residential real estate. I used to go in the houses and dreams and see all the pretty ladies dressed up, and I was like, okay, I want to do that, and I did it.
That's awesome. What made you get into real estate? How did you even find that path?
Honestly, we would go look at dream houses. We would really go to open houses with my mom.
Oh, really?
And that's, I would see them in there, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. So that is how I decided to get into real estate because I would always dream of having the nice houses, and, the realtors were always dressed nice and in nice cars. So, growing up, struggling and seeing that was something that I said that I would like to do, and I knew I could get a license really quickly. My mom is a retired teacher. She always said, if somebody else can pass it, you can pass it. So I took the test and I got into it.
What was it like getting into real estate at 19 years old?
I did really good.
Really?
I had a lot of family and friends, my church. So I've been dealing with warm market even with that, So I did really well. But one time I was vacationing in Destin, and, I did a timeshare presentation, and then the guy was like, he was trying to recruit me. He liked my personality,
Yeah.
and he was trying to recruit me. And I was like, oh, you guys don't make any money. At that time, I was making, probably $75,000, which for me, that was still great.
At that point, your life was that the most you ever made?
That was the most I'd ever made, $75,000.
So you're like, I'm killing him.
100,000, 75.
And you're still what, early 20s?
Yeah, I'm like 21.
Okay.
So and then he was like, "Oh, we do this," and then he showed me his check, and it was like 30,000, and I'm like, "Okay, what do I have to do?"
And this is for his real estate company, or
this is a timeshare.
Oh,
this
timeshare.
Is Wyndham,
Got it.
And I'm like, "What do I have to do do that?" And he was like, "Well, if you're already licensed, we'll put you up, and train you." So that's how I trained.
So you went there to try to sell him a house?
I went there to get some free tickets to go to. I was doing a timeshare presentation to get some free tickets to go to whatever the water park was.
Okay. You're just trying to go to the water park.
I was trying to go to the water park, and they recruited me. And everybody's done, So I went there to actually try to get a discounted ticket.
Yeah.
And then they liked my personality, and then they were trying to recruit me to come to go to
Wow.
work.
Did you join them?
I did.
At that point, yeah.
Well, not at that very moment. We got our contact information, and he was like, "Well, you're already licensed in Alabama, and all you have to do is get a reciprocal." And I did the steps to get my license in Florida. Within a few months, I was working for that company.
That's like some old Wolf of Wall Street. Show me your paycheck, right? Here it is.
Money, baby. And that's what they did, and I did it.
And it just goes to show you, too, like, don't discount anybody when you're recruiting.
No, you can't.
Because you went there to get some tickets. They're doing some open house type thing or something. Like they're trying to sell timeshares.
That's it.
And then next thing you know, he's like, well, shit, she's got a good personality. Maybe she could do this. A lot of people wouldn't even have asked you because they're like, oh, she's here for the tickets or she's here for. But don't discount people.
Don't discount.
Don't assume that they're not going to want to do it. You just never know.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
No. I was dragged to a meeting, but my wife worked at a bank. Sean Mike did his banking at this bank prior to insurance. Okay. So she knew him when he didn't have money, and then he started getting paid. And she's like, what are you doing? Yeah. It was the worst thing she ever asked because then he kept trying to recruit her. Then I get dragged to a meeting. She doesn't get licensed. I do, and end up working enough to get her out of her job.
Oh, that's amazing.
But you just never know.
You just never know.
But that Sean tried to recruit her, and then he meets me. He's like, well, hey, you can do it too if you want. He's trying to recruit both of us. You just never know.
You never know.
And that's something that if you all are out there recruiting, please just ask. The worst thing you could have said to this guy was no.
No.
What would that have changed for him?
Nothing.
He's still going to do his timeshare stuff, right?
And it changed his life. And it changed mine.
Did you get the tickets to the water park, though?
I did get the tickets.
How was it?
I did. I did get the tickets.
Nice. That's awesome. So a few months after this, you get all ready to go in timeshares.
I did that. Yep. Yeah.
Did you stay in Alabama or?
So, Matt and Casey and Jared, they knew me. I would, Destin from Mobile, Alabama is like 2 hours. Okay. I would drive 2 hours one way. Yeah. And 2 hours to go back.
Every day?
Every day.
Really?
Every day. So I was on the road over 4.5 hours a day. Wow. Until I started making a little bit of money, and then I got a small condo there, and then would go home on my off days. But for a while, I was driving there and driving back.
How was the transition from selling real estate to timeshare?
For me, it wasn't really a transition because I can learn the product. The product is easy. Yeah. But people are buying you. Correct. At the end of the day, if they like you, they're going to buy from you. Mm-hmm. If it's affordable, so the transition wasn't really too hard because I look at each client, no matter what industry I'm in, whether it's timeshare, whether it's real estate, whether it's life insurance, I look at each client as if I am helping my mom. Mm-hmm. I think of my mom on the other end or my aunt. Yeah. And it transcends to them because I'm not just looking at, how much I'm going to make off of this. I don't even think about that, honestly. Right. I really don't. And I think that's why I do so well because I look at each client as if they're my family. Right. And I tell them, I say, hey, cuz, they laugh at me when they hear my calls. I'm like, oh, you could just like my grandmother or, my uncle. So that's how I treat each client. Got it. The transition for me was easy. Yeah.
How long did it take for you to start making more money in timeshares than your best year in real estate?
My first 3 months, I think I made like $90,000
in your first 3 months.
in my first 3 months.
What did you think at that point?
For me, being early 20s,
Yeah.
a black girl from Mobile, Alabama with no college degree, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And it was life-changing. You
I
know,
bet.
it was truly life-changing for me.
Yeah.
So I thought it was the best thing since sliced bread, you know. And it is. It is a great opportunity. But at that time, that was good for me, you know.
Yeah.
As time changed, you know, I evolved and I wanted more out of life. So.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
You sold timeshares for how long?
I did it I was there doing the oil spill. I started in 2005.
Yeah.
And I did it till like 2010.
Okay.
And then I went into life insurance full time. I
Got it.
transitioned into
How'd you get set up? Like, what attracted you to life insurance?
Well, like I said, I grew up with it.
Right.
And the gentleman that my mother used to work for, he was like, Natalie, you can do this and timeshare, you know.
Okay.
So I went ahead and got my license.
You get recruited by everybody.
Everybody.
Yep.
So I got my license in 2009, and then I got my securities license and as well. So I was doing that, and for several years I was doing that.
Got it.
You know,
Still doing timeshares, or did you move completely to life insurance?
I was doing both.
Yeah.
And I never let my life insurance licenses go. You need multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
So no, I was doing both for a while because, you know, with the timeshare, you only work a few hours a day, and most of my clients I was doing in the evenings or on the weekends. So I was still doing both.
Got it.
Still doing both.
How did you go from doing that to finding us?
So in 2009, 2010, that's when I was doing both. And then I transitioned into life insurance completely for...
Oh, you left timeshares?
I left timeshare for a little bit.
Why? Because what you were making?
I just was... honestly, I just needed a break.
Yeah.
I really did get burnt out. It wasn't even... And I actually took a little bit of a pay cut
Really?
when I left because I just was burnt out, you know. My daughter was getting older, and I wanted to have a little bit more time at home.
Yeah.
So I went into life insurance full time. Was doing really, really well, but I realized, you know, it was only one product. That was it.
Yeah.
So, you know, unless you recruited 1,000 people and had a huge team, your ceiling was capped at like $200,000 a year.
Got it.
Unless you.
So you got to that ceiling.
I got to that ceiling,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, you know, my friends, you know, were like, hey, I'm working at this, you know, timeshare company. Come over here. We're making $300,000-$400,000 a year. We're done at work by 2:00. So I got back into timeshare.
Right.
And so I did that for a few years. And then last year, how I transitioned into this, Matt and Jared had reached out to me originally when they started with Family First Life. And it, you know, at that time, I just was like, you know, I really don't want to do the door-to-door. I was burnt out from my previous company.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do any of that. I just was like,
So you didn't want to get back in life insurance.
I didn't want to get it back into life insurance that way. You
Got
know?
it, got it.
So,
Because where you came from, there was no leads, right?
there's no leads.
Was it all warm market? Were you cold calling, door knock?
Only warm market.
Only warm market.
And then you may get referrals from someone that you know that, you know, and it was a gateway to,
Got
you know,
it.
but no, only warm market.
So I feel like at first you got this big warm market. It's like it's great, right?
It's great.
Talk, especially if you're someone that can talk. But after a while, I don't care how many friends and family you have, you're gonna run out.
You're gonna run out.
What do you do then?
And that's why I went back to timeshare.
Got it. Yeah, because if not, then it's you're recruiting me and trying to get to my warm market.
And it's So I realized, you know, and I love the company. I grew up with. It's nothing negative. It just wasn't for me. So
that's the thing too. Like if you're at another spot and it's not working, it's not that it's a bad company. Maybe that model's just not for you.
That's exactly right.
Like there's plenty of people that our model's not for them. If you can't grind, if you can't deal with ups and downs, if you can't deal with rejection, this is not going to work for you.
It's not going to work.
If you can't be your own boss, Matt's great, but I don't think he calls you up in the morning and go, you working?
No.
What are you doing right now? You know? Like,
No. Now, you know, if you do need support, him and Jared are both there, but they're not going to be calling you. So once I got back into timeshare last year, what year were we in, 25?
Yep.
It's 23.
Okay, 23.
23, I was diagnosed September of 23, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Okay.
So I didn't even tell my family initially.
Really?
No.
What were you thinking when you found this out?
Well, breast cancer runs in my family.
Okay.
And so I've been going to get mammograms and tests for years, and they would see something, and I would get a biopsy. They check it, and it was fine.
Okay.
So and I've been getting them since I was like 26.
Got it.
So this time they said, "Oh, we see something," and I was like, "Oh, it's probably nothing." They had to go in.
You've done it enough. You're like, it's probably just nothing again.
It's nothing.
Yep.
So they go in and they do the incisional biopsy, and then I get a call, and they're like, "Natalie, it's cancer," and I'm like, "What?" It really threw me for a loop because for close to 15 years, I've been seeing things, and it always came back negative.
Yeah.
So, for a minute, my family depends on me. I mean, my mom, my sister, my family depends on me. So I didn't want to tell them because I knew that it would just put them in a damper.
Yeah.
So it probably took me like 2 months before I said something, and they would see me and they'd be like, "What's wrong?" And I'd be like, "Nothing,"
Yeah.
But once I finally did tell them and I found my doctor, I got a huge family support. So February of 24, I had a double mastectomy, and I had some beautiful girls and lost both of them. I was like, it was very, look, they were my babies. They were my babies. But, and then from that surgery, I ended up having some complications, and I had to have another surgery March because my skin wasn't healing.
Okay.
It was not healing properly. So they had to go in and take out some debris and things like that. Then it still wasn't healing. So I had to go get in a hyperbaric chamber for 3 months, 5 days a week, for 3 hours a day.
God.
I was petrified.
Yeah.
Because
what's it like inside a hyperbaric
that's
chamber?
what you get in there and you're sealed in.
Yeah.
It's giving you 100% oxygen, whatever it is, to help it's normally for burn victims and things of that nature. But I'm like, man, I don't know if you've ever watched The Walking Dead. I was like, well, if I am in here, at least I'm safe. I won't get ate up or not.
Right.
Nothing like that. But it was very, very scary. I was depressed at that time too, because I'm like, to go from, doing really good and then all of this, it was a lot. So for like 3 months, I had to do that. And then
you were still in timeshares at this point.
I was still in timeshare, but I was on medical leave. Because of my surgery.
Yeah,
so, and they worked with me, the company. So
were you still getting paid? Was that commission?
I was just getting my short-term disability.
Got it.
Whatever.
Okay. It's like a reduced salary or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't a whole lot, but
Something.
because I saved my money, it was okay.
Right. Yeah.
But did that, and then after that, I had to have radiation as well, but they couldn't do any of my radiation. I couldn't start that until I was completely healed, because you cannot, if you have any open cuts or sores or whatever, they can't do radiation. It would damage you badly. So once I finished that, I had to wait a little bit, and then I had to do a few months of radiation. But while I was home, scrolling Facebook, I see Jared and Matt, they ride in the Lambos, and I'm like, so I messaged them, and I'm like, y'all still doing, life insurance with Family First Life? They was like, yeah, Natalie, you need to come by. It's totally different. We do virtual sales now. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So, I went by the office. This was probably May or June of 24.
Yeah.
So I go by the office and I see amazing. They opened the office and then it was sold out. I mean, all the cubicles, office space, it was filled up.
Yeah.
In a couple of months' time. So
what did you think walking into that? That's not what you were expecting.
It was totally not what I was expecting. And I've known Matt and Jared since 2006.
Yeah.
So I know anything they're going to do, it's legit, it's 100%, and they're not going to leave nothing. For them to leave their previous timeshare job, making the money that I know he was making, good. I knew it was real.
Yeah.
So, I go by and I was like, well, dang, I had already had my life insurance license, and I was already licensed in a few states. So I was like, okay, yeah, I would love to do this. And how do I go about getting trained? But I was really nervous because, like I said, going from one product, just knowing that product, to now, you got annuities, you got this and this. So, Jared and Matt were like, Natalie, you can do whatever. Just, we'll teach you all of that. Yeah. So I signed up, and I started my first week of training August the 15th, I think it was, middle of August. And
were you done with your treatment at this point?
No. I was still. I would get up, go do my radiation. There were days that I would be sick, tired, skin burned from the radiation, but I came to work, and I left my pain. I tell anybody, leave your problems at the door.
Yeah.
If you got issues with your man at home, whatever's going on, it's no sense in bringing it in, because what is it going to do but nag out everybody else in the office? So
this may be a stupid question for you because of your mindset, but I want to ask you so everyone can hear your response. You're diagnosed with cancer, you're going through radiation. Nobody would have said anything to you if you said, I got to wait till I'm done with this, right?
Yeah.
Like, that would have been completely accepted. No one would have challenged you like, Natalie, what are you doing?
No,
right?
No.
Why did you still show up to work and keep doing what you're doing?
Because the more I sat at home, I was getting into a much more darker space. And I'm like, you know what? I'm always hustling. I'm always out doing something. I've been off since February. This is now, going on July. I cannot continue this. So I had to get myself going. Yeah. And I just realized, I said, okay, I can work it at my own schedule. They're my friends. They're going to train me. But I had to put that mindset and get out of just at home in my bed. Just it was depressing. Yeah, so I had to make that physical change. And yes, even Jared would tell me, Natalie, you don't have to come in. I'm like, no, I know I don't have to, but I want to.
Right.
And when I started coming in and helping families, the pain that I was going in due to the, my treatments and I didn't even think about it anymore.
Right.
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
And then I started doing really good, and I'm like, okay, this isn't, it's going to be a little bit easier than I thought. And it just kept going. So I finished my radiation, I think it was like September the 20th or the end of September. I finished all of that then. So, and then the rest is here.
Right. Well, good for you. That's awesome. And I'm no mental health expert, but my theory is everybody deals with anxiety and depression, right? Everybody has it. But it's how you manage it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that some people deal with it worse than others, or some are in a better spot, or better or worse spot. But take a step back. I actually heard Jim Carrey say something along these lines. Like, he's like, you may be depressed, sure, but have you been outside, got some sunlight? Are you hydrated? Have you exercised? Have you gone to work? Like, have you tried all these other things first
to help you
before you just go, I'm going to sit home and be depressed? Not that you're choosing, but like, have you tried to do these other, like, check these things off the boxes first, right? It's like, I got a headache, I'm going to take a Tylenol. Well, slow down. Have you eaten anything today?
Have you done any of those things?
Yeah. How much water have you had? Oh, like a cup. Okay, you're probably dehydrated. Oh, and you drank last night, so you're definitely dehydrated. Maybe you don't need the Tylenol. Maybe you need to hydrate yourself. But there's like, have you tried these things first? Versus, and I'm not discrediting anyone's mental health. Again, I'm no
I
expert.
Understand that.
Right?
I totally get it.
But it's like, I don't think like, oh, I'm depressed, you're special. No, everybody
has a bit of depression.
Absolutely.
Everybody. It's how you deal with it.
Correct.
That makes you different.
And it's not easy. So I'm not saying
not easy.
No. It's a mental F, but like, you can work your way through it.
You can. And a lot of people even at the office didn't even know I had it.
Yeah.
That's how serious and focused I was.
Right.
And because it's like everybody has their own problems.
Correct.
But, I was on a couple of Facebook group pages, and yes, I'm 43, but I saw a girl on there that was 17.
Right.
And I'm like, at least I had mine for 43 years,
Correct.
I can't. So, my mother, had as a saying that, I used to cry when because I may not have had any shoes. But until I saw a man with no feet.
Right.
Like, you can't, somebody else's situations
Correct.
are going to be worse than yours.
You look far enough, you'll always find someone who's got it worse.
Yes. Yep.
And then it's like, are you telling everyone because you want to share the news, or do you want them to feel sorry for you?
And most people want you to feel sorry.
Correct.
And I didn't want people to feel sorry for me.
Yeah.
I want people to, when they did find out, to know that, hey, I'm a fighter. I'm a survivor.
Right.
And you know, we got one life to live.
Yeah.
And you got to deal with your pain and issues the best way you can. And for me, it's keeping it to myself, you know, or keeping it not just necessarily to myself. I shared things with the people that I know that were going to be praying for me and motivating me, encouraging me, but I didn't need a pity party.
Right.
So
you get these people, like I'm like off social media for years, but like outside of work stuff. But you get everything that happens to them. I got a flat tire. Like, oh my God, it's just pity party central. You think other people don't have the same shit?
Same stuff that's going on.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's what do you do with it? How do you react to it? Life is not about what happens to you. It's how you react to it.
It's how you react.
And that's the same thing in this business, right? Like, you're going to get no-shows. You're going to get cancellations, chargebacks, whatever. It's not about those things. It's what do you do when it happens to you? What are you going to do
when it happens?
You know? So I love your mindset and the fact that, like, just hearing your story is inspiring, but also the way you handled it. Like, it wasn't pity for me. And, like, you know Dominique Rogers?
No.
Okay, so Dominique, he when he was in college, I forget the exact age, but he was diagnosed with cancer, had it in his knee, actually. Okay. And he was a phenomenal baseball player.
I was just about to ask, is this a celebrity? Okay.
No, he works with us. He works with us.
Oh, he works with us. Yep. Okay. I'm still learning a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, you're new, so.
I was networking at the convention. Yep. I'm still learning because it's only been like 7 months. So I'm.
Well, you wanna meet this guy. But actually we did a True Talk, so definitely check that out. But he talked about when he first got diagnosed, how he was like, you know, why me type shit, right? Like, I'm a college baseball player. This is going to ruin and I think he had got accepted to like one school, and then when he had the cancer, like, no, dude, like you got to go play somewhere else.
Oh, wow.
Then when he started his treatment, because of his age, he went to the pediatric treatment.
Okay.
And he saw all these kids, kind of like what you just said, and he was like, wow. I can't be sitting here feeling sorry. Like, and they told all the kids that, hey, we got a baseball player coming. So he walks in and they're all looking up to him. So he's like, dude, I can't. Like,
can't even.
It changed his whole mindset.
It changes. It really, really does. Yeah. When it changes my outlook on life in general. You know, I already had a very positive outlook.
Yeah.
But after this, it's like, you know, I don't want to even argue over silly stuff. I'm like, okay, whatever. You know. Whatever. It's what it is, you know.
It's kind of like the I guess a catch-22 with when you probably feel this way, like the way you raise your daughter.
Yes. Because
you worked your ass off, you had money, which prevents them from going through a lot of the things that we went through.
It does.
And I always question, like, are my kids going to be ready for life because they didn't, like, I'm who I am because of the stuff I went through.
Yes.
And I did my best to prevent them from going through those things. Are we raising a generation that's too soft? What's that do with life insurance? Nothing. But you know what I mean?
I don't. Well, for me and my daughter, she knows.
Yeah.
The struggle, and even with her, I struggle. I used to waitress at Ruby Tuesday.
Yeah.
To make sure that she had her lunch money for the week. You know, so because I had her very young, I was a teenage mom. Yeah. Like I said. So she definitely didn't have all of the struggles that I had, but I definitely made sure that she understood that, hey, this is not easy. I had to bust my butt off for this.
Yeah.
So I feel that she's very, very appreciative, and her outlook on life is not like, okay, you were fed with a silver spoon.
Right.
You know? So
That's a great point.
I think that's how each individual raises their child. Yeah. You know, you can have some people that their children were raised, you know, with nannies and all of this, and if you don't teach them core values, yes, they can be.
Sure.
You know, thinking that this is what it's supposed to be, you know, but you got to
They learn from watching too.
Yes.
So regardless of what they are or aren't going through, they see how hard
it was. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I made sure she went to private school.
Yeah.
I didn't get to do any of that, but even when I was starting in real estate, I waitressed and was doing real estate to make sure that I had extra income to give her better things in life. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what made you finally make that jump, get back in life insurance, join us?
The biggest thing that made me, after I saw them riding in Lambos, that was
that was enough.
But no, the main thing though, this has no ceiling.
Yeah.
You can do what you want. You know, it's up to how hard you work it. And the fact that not only can I have a ceiling that as high as I want it to be.
Yeah.
I can help other people get to whatever they feel, is important to them financially, So, being in the timeshare industry, unless you like move way up, you're going to make a few $100,000 a year. I think my best year was like 360.
Okay.
You're going to make that. And yes, that is good money. But like I said, there's so many factors. The company that I work for, the resort's been closed now for almost a year. Okay. So unless if there's a hurricane or natural disaster, unless you're willing to up and relocate.
Yeah.
But with this, you can do this anywhere. Right. You don't have to worry about certain factors.
So wait, company you worked at's been closed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Still closed.
Still closed.
Still
so
closed.
What happened when you worked? Like you're not getting paid?
No.
No.
I'm not getting paid anything. Yeah. No.
You had to find something.
You had to. I had to find something.
Right. Unless you wanted to relocate.
Unless you wanted to relocate and go somewhere else. Yeah. Unless you wanted to relocate. Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, you can make all this money. Yeah. But there's we were talking to Sean actually last week on here, and he was talking about real estate prior to him getting a life insurance license. Like, dude, some years I made $300K in real estate. Some years I made 60.
Yeah. It's too many factors.
Right.
It's so much. Oh, the economy's not doing this. This is not doing this. But we all going to die.
Absolutely.
So at the end of the day, that doesn't matter what's going on.
Yep.
You got to have it.
I say all the time, it's mind-blowing that if you drive a car, by law, you have to have car insurance. You ain't guaranteed to hit anybody.
You're not.
Right?
You're not.
You own a house, you got to have homeowners insurance.
You got to have all that.
You ain't guaranteed to have a tree fall on your house or whatever the hell. But life insurance, you are guaranteed to die. We all will, and nobody knows when.
We don't know when.
But you don't have to have life insurance.
But you don't have to have. And to me and it's so crazy because I grew up with my mother selling life insurance for years. Even when our lights may have been turned off.
Yeah.
We never not paid our life insurance. So it's literally instilled in me.
Right.
And anybody in my family, we're not letting you don't drop your life insurance.
Yeah.
No matter what. Your power can get turned off, but you can't let your life insurance go. So,
right.
You
can get that power turned back on.
You can get that turned back on.
You get that policy canceled, you screwed a lot of times.
Especially you may have health. Look, I'm only 43. If I didn't already have plenty of life insurance, I wouldn't even be able to get any right now.
Absolutely.
So you just never know what can happen in your life. So
what does your mom think about what you're doing?
My mom, like I told you, we
know she wants to join. We're trying to get her.
But she lives with me. I take care of my mother. Okay. So she sees me, doing all of the, the training for the Athene and things like that. And she's like, she's already got a group of her friends. I got some people lined up to do the annuities. I'm serious. My mother is she's so excited about Family First Life. She wants to meet Sean. She's like, I'm coming next year. She's going to be in there with her cane walking.
She'll be at the convention?
She's coming.
Awesome.
I've already bought, when they had the allotment
the
or
early
whatever.
bird one?
I bought like 20 tickets already.
Nice.
Even though I don't know how many is going, but I just went ahead and just.
I'll tell you what, you will fill those spots though, because you bought them. You will.
I just said I'm gonna do it. Yeah. I just bought them.
That's
I said
awesome.
I know I'm gonna have people coming, so but yeah, she's definitely coming.
She's gonna be. I had to meet your mom there.
Yes, you're gonna definitely meet Mama.
And we'll be giving you a red Hall of Fame jacket at this event. I have no doubt.
I'm excited.
Yes. And it's awesome too to like how it came full circle. Like if she wasn't selling life insurance, not only that, if she wasn't involving you in that sale, do you think you would have went on to sell life insurance?
I don't think so.
No.
I can say beyond a doubt I wouldn't have, but because I grew up in that, and a lot of her clients now they're still calling me, their children, and they may need to get their grandchildren a policy, because a lot of her clients were my warm market that I went to, and now their children are grown. So, but I definitely would not be doing life insurance if she was not in it.
Yeah.
No.
Is your daughter going to sell life insurance?
She has gotten her license.
She did?
Yes.
That's awesome.
And she actually just did her first policy.
Okay.
Last week,
Nice. Well, congratulations.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So she's excited. She's already gotten her license. So.
Nice. Now, how old's your granddaughter?
She just turned 8.
Okay. So another 10 years we might have to get her.
She just turned 8. Yeah. So she'll be there next year too.
That's awesome. Last year, you started selling with us when?
August
of last year. Did you go on the cruise last year or no?
When I came in, that was already done. But I I know I'm going to win Mexico.
Well, I got some news for you, Natalie.
Okay.
So we're going to tell you right here. You actually, today, you qualified for Cancun.
Yes,
so
I'm
excited.
Thank
You'll be there.
Thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Awesome. So who are you going to bring?
Probably my daughter.
Yeah.
Or either my mom.
Okay.
And, it could be because I'm having to have my second stage surgery May the 20th. And I was so happy because I called a few weeks ago. Y'all don't think I'm crazy. I knew I was going to win the contest, right? So I was like, my doctor said, well, you don't need to go anywhere for at least 60 days. So I called a few weeks ago. I said, hey, what's the dates of the trip? I know I'm going to win it. I haven't won it yet, so I can schedule my surgery.
Yes.
And they was like, oh, it's going to be August. And I was like, great. So
you have another surgery next month.
I have to actually get my implants. So these that I have in here are like temporary. They called expanders to stretch my skin. So I actually get my implants made.
You get your girls back.
I'm going to be able to have them in Mexico. So.
Nice. Perfect timing. That's awesome.
Exciting. But I'm either thinking about taking my mom for her birthday, because normally July I take her somewhere. Yeah. But because I'm going to be recuperating, I'll probably either be bringing her or my daughter.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I want to wrap, Natalie, with some fun stuff.
Okay.
Well, we'll see if it's fun. I do a little true or false. So I got a handful of statements here. You're just going to let me know if they're true or false in your opinion, okay? Are you ready?
Yes.
Number 1, only old people need life insurance.
False.
Number 2, commission-based sales are too risky to build a stable income.
False.
Social media is essential for growing a modern insurance business.
True.
You should only sell life insurance to people you know personally.
False.
All successful agents had a fast start.
False.
You need years of experience to build an agency.
False.
And last but not least, Family First Life is the best place for a life insurance producer.
True.
True. And that was our goal starting this company. Sean sold, I sold, everyone who was involved in the creation of this company were producers first. And our goal was, we worked at other companies, not the place you work, but places that you're like, why do they do this? The comp is 55%. You got to basically rob.
My comp was 25.
25.
25.
Wow.
To get to 55%, I have a printout that I show people at my office, to say, hey, what we have here is, baby, I don't want to hear a complaint from you ever. Right. Okay? But to get to 55, you had to have so many recruits in and it was a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, if you're somewhere, now I get it at some higher comp levels, you want to have some agents, but you're trying to get to 100 or 110 and you got to recruit the world. We had the same thing to get to 110 comp. It was virtually impossible.
Yeah. And I had to be securities licensed. You cannot get to that level without actually getting your Series 6 and 63. So I had to get that to even get to 100%.
So if you're working somewhere and they do things like that, you might want to check us out. Just saying.
Yeah.
But that was our plan. Was we didn't want to do that. We looked at everything this other company and other companies in our space did. Not everything was bad.
No.
We're like, hey, that works, that doesn't. And when we built this company, the idea was, let's make the best possible company for a life insurance agent. Let's give them the best chance to be successful.
Yes.
And
y'all are doing that for sure.
I think we did that.
No, for
sure.
We're
not perfect, but I think we nailed that part.
You nailed that part for sure. And just the bonuses, just everything. Not only bonuses from FFL, but from certain carriers.
Right.
It's I was just blown away.
Yeah.
And then, most of the companies you can get paid either the next day or within a few days.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, congrats on
Thank
Cancun.
You. I'm so excited.
I'm excited for you, and I hope to see your mom at convention.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, she's gonna.
She will be there.
Trust me. She was, sad that she couldn't come to this one.
Yeah.
But she had some doctor's appointments and some other things. But when she saw the video, she was just crying, and But she's definitely gonna be at the next one for sure.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming up doing this, Natalie. And you guys can get registered today. You should go buy 20 tickets like Natalie did. FFLconvention.com. There are still some VIP tickets left. Okay. There's still some premier seating left. Last event we gave out $500,000 in leads.
I
vouchers.
saw that. I was like, is Sean up there throwing the
Yes.
I was like, okay, that was pretty cool.
Yes.
But I had brought, I didn't do the VIP because I had brought 3 recruits with me. So I wanted to kind of stay near them and things like that. So, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Got it.
But
What about next year? Where are you sitting?
I bought just the regular tickets, but I'm probably going to get a VIP for me as well because I plan to have at least 20 to 30 people, so they won't be by themselves.
And we are going to start releasing some speakers pretty soon. I wish I could tell you some names we're talking to. I know that obviously Dave Anderson will be back. We're bringing Barbara Corcoran back. She was there 2 years ago. She was the only female on Shark Tank at the time.
At the time,
I don't know. I'm not going to keep up with Shark Tank, so maybe there's more now. But she's a savage real estate.
That's cool.
Yes, so she'll be there. So I can tell you that today. And then Dave Anderson will be back as always. And
I'm excited. You know, this was a life-changing convention for me.
Yeah.
And just to be there and have so many like-minded individuals and just hearing everybody's stories, you know, to see kids, well, I don't want to say kids, but to see young adults, that are
we can 22. Say, listen, I'll be 40 this year. We can say kids, okay?
But to see 22 and 23-year-olds up there making that kind of money, this is not based upon you got to be 50 and above to be making, you know, $50,000 a month.
Right.
You know, that's amazing. Like, I mean,
absolutely,
that young making that kind of money, you know. So I'm like, this is something for every lifestyle, every age bracket, you know. So it was very enlightening, and I'm so happy that I was able to
love it. I'm
and
glad
I'm happy
you were there.
that I was able to even speak to. So you know,
Yep. Awesome. Well, thanks again, guys. Thanks for checking us out. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this with all your agents. Go to fflconvention.com to get registered. Oh, and go to shop.familyfirstlife.com. You can get this awesome shirt there amongst plenty of others. There's a 70% off sale on a lot of merch right now, so go there and check that out. We appreciate y'all checking us out. You know where to find us every week right here on True Talk. We'll see you next week.